salaried class are the most prompt taxpayers, but also the most scrutinized by the income tax department. Wondering why that is? Stay tuned. Income tax filing by salaried individuals, do's and don'ts. Come January, the salaried class starts declaring their investments to their employer via a HR tool or by manual declaration. At the end of this exercise, employers hand out a Form 16 and a Form 16A as applicable. Some of the big regulatory mistakes salaried class are making are assuming Form 16 or 16A to be their tax return. Employees fail to file their income tax returns, assuming that taxes are already deducted from their salary and there is no need to file a return. This is far from the truth. Form 16 or 16A is a proof that your employer has indeed paid taxes in your name to the government. It is not a substitute for your income tax return. There is no requirement to file nil income tax if the taxable income is less than rupees 2,50,000. But it is a good practice because applying for a loan becomes easier. Most of the finance companies and banks ask for income tax returns to ascertain the credit worthiness and eligibility limits. With no idea, you will end up paying very high interest rates. The carry forward of capital losses, loss made on financial instruments such as mutual fund, stocks, etc., cannot be carried forward if you do not file ITR, whether it is a short term or a long term. Your travel to UK, USA, Europe, and Canada will be disrupted as the visa authorities demand for income tax returns as a proof of your income. The checklist for other sources of incomes as below. Interest on fixed deposit, income from short-term capital gains like sale of shares, bonds, mutual funds, debentures and property, long-term capital gains of the above and also from sale of property, rental income and other incomes, income from teaching, consulting and trading. When you include this extra income, the income bracket may change and you may have to pay taxes. Give an example to you. Ram is an employee with an MNC. His total taxable income for financial year 1920 is rupees 2,25,000. In 1920, he helped his neighbor Shyam with a project report and was paid a consulting fee of rupees 35,000. The payment was done via bank transfer and Shyam deducted TDS on it. Ram did not file income tax, thinking his salary is well within the rupees 2,50,000 limit. But to his surprise, he was served with a notice from the income tax department. Why this happened? Because Shyam had paid the TDS deducted, which alerted the department that Ram has made an additional income of rupees 35,000. Going through the Ram's Form 26 AS, a annual consolidated credit statement where all TDS deducted or reflected. Income tax department came to the conclusion that Ram's income exceeded rupees 2,50,000 and hence Ram had to file income tax return for the financial year 1920 and pay tax applicable. This is how the department issuing notices. But whether the tax is applicable or refund is claimable, the tax returns has to be filed. The linking of your bank accounts, demat accounts and any financial account to your PAN has provided a very powerful and accurate overview of your income and spends. It is with this information that the department is issuing notices. Is the old tax regime better than the new tax regime? Is a question for everyone. There have been numerous blogs, videos, industry experts that have been debating about which tax regime is beneficial for an assessee. At Money Talks, we are of the opinion that there is no one correct answer. Like our DNA, each individual tax file is unique and different. Only after computing the IT hours in both the methodology can we conclude which is better. But some points to ponder while deciding are: does discontinuing of investment overweigh the tax benefits? Do we buy insurance for tax benefit or for financial cover? Does home loan make any sense? How? If you're still confused on the matter, you can always reach out to us on 98450 or as@moneytalks.com to get regular updates. Subscribe to our channel